We're going to go and do a full deep dive on your back sevens, figuring out what works, what needs to be changed, and how to go and make said changes. So, looking through the footage, I noticed that your back sevens have a lot of mistakes that are really common for this trick, and it's one of the reasons why this trick is hard to go and actually start landing and is so unflexible. Where like a backside 360 and a backside 540, you can get away with a lot more. Backside 720s introduce a new mechanic and like a new motion that makes it really hard to just sort of like wing it. So let's go and start where all things start, and that is the takeoff and throw. So we don't have a super clean shot of your takeoff here, but it should be good enough to go and get the point across. So as you're coming into the takeoff, the first thing I really want to note is see how leaned in you are and how closed off your shoulders are already just at the bottom of the jump. This isn't giving you a very strong platform to generate power from, and we can see that it's really going and hindering you once we get to this stage here. Your back arm's dropping, you're lean forward, and this is making it so even if you threw your upper body completely straight on this axis, you're going to be throwing down and throwing very far away from your snowboard. We really want for a backside 720 to have our weight straight over top of our board with just a little bit of edge pressure, so that way we can go and throw around like this, and then it will continue on that plane. Where if we go and draw a line here and try to do the same liney thing, we'll see that you're going to be throwing off axis. And this off axis downward throw that we're seeing right here is going to make it so you have too much of your momentum set downward. And when you're set downward like that, you'll be at this point at 270 with your head spotting the knuckle, board completely like facing downhill. And the issue with this is we can't really grab and tuck in and pull into this rotation. We're too corked at this stage, and we have too much flip to rotation ratio, so that's going to make it so we'll need to go and look over and around our shoulder. So that's what we're seeing right here. You're going and needing to delay your spot, hold it there, because if you looked straight through, you would be going and landing really heel side. So you're taking your head, pulling it to a neutral position, and then trying to stretch it and look around your upper body. And that's why you're in this position here at 540, completely blocked off of your upper body because you're trying to utilize counter rotation to get the spin around. And that's really what we're seeing with your spin, is the way you're snapping it isn't letting you channel clean power through, making it so you need to stop the power, let go of it, then try whip around your upper body to utilize counter rotation to bring you to your feet. But good news is you've been training worst case scenario. This is like worst case scenario, you mess up a takeoff. This happens on backside spins. Even when you get them really comfortable, you get a little bit of funk. Sometimes you cork a little too much. So the fact that you're training this way to go and get around is going to help you in some situations, but it's not the proper way to do the trick. And we can really see it with this one here. See how you're snapping, and then your upper body's angled here, your legs are out over here, your arms are crossed off and closed off here. So from this position, you're not going to be able to take that arm and pull into the spin and lead with the head and connect everything, because your center of mass is just too far away from your snowboard, and your axis of rotation just won't really let it happen. Because of that, the only thing you can do, counter rotate, throw your head over your shoulder, and try to rebalance. So instead of doing a backside 720 right now, you're more doing a backside 540 survival mode. And even for like these ones where they rotate a little bit flatter, we're still seeing that really big disconnect where you're throwing, your head's in one position, but it can't hold that position, so you're needing to go and separate it and try to look around, arm coming across the body. Again, super normal problems to be having. I've dealt with these myself. This is a very normal process. So that might have seemed harsh, but you need to go and just be realistic about what needs to be worked on, what you need to go and approach in order to go and get a backside 7 to a platform that we can really build off. Because the goal isn't to land a back 7, it's to have a back 7, a really strong fundamental trick that you can go and build your snowboarding principles off of. And that's why it's such a big step up. Backside 360s are a fundamental trick, backside 720s are a fundamental trick. So once you get a good back 7, then you can get back 9s, you can start doing different grabs, and it turns into one of the most flexible, fun tricks ever. So let's go and put in the work and really figure out how to go and get this proper. I think the best thing to look at first is we have this little bit of an in-run. A lot of this stuff is done on in-run and snap off a takeoff. We'll cover the in-run, then move on to snap on the takeoff. I'm really not liking how straight your legs are and how your upper body isn't like pulled over enough over your snowboard here. The reason why is because when you're in this position, even though your board's angled here, your hips aren't really open, your chests aren't really open, and you're relying on leaning. See how your upper body is really far away from your snowboard? If you're leaning towards your heel edge, that's going to make it so as you switch to your toe edge, you're going to need to lean the other direction. So any imbalance and weight shifted away from our board on the heels will be countered when we go and try shift that weight to the toes. And that's going to really dig in a lot of toe pressure. And then when we look at your actual wind-up position, your chest is opening, but your hips are completely squared. And instead of trying to lift yourself up and stand tall, instead you're going from heel edge and then falling forward into a toe edge position. I'm gonna make myself big here. This is actually something that I've just really started getting figured out, and it's the difference between going and having your heel edge like this and then try and wind up like this with sort of like unstable, throwy, unbalanced, and that's going to make it so our plane of access is over here, versus squatting way down into those hips. That's is opening the chest, opening the hips. We put our hands here, makes us strong, and then we just stand up. And standing up puts pressure into that toe edge while opening our hips, opening our chest, and then when we put our arms out, we're now tall over our board, our axis of rotation's up here, we have this powerful platform. So this is something you're going to want to work on from like backside 360s, just carving down the mountain, really trying to get this figured out, because man, is it a crucial difference in motion. Because if you just go and start winding up and switching to your toe edge when you try to like get here, it's just going to be thrown down, and that's the biggest issue we're seeing with your spin, is how it's thrown downwards and it's not falling through the snap. If we compare the two here, you can see that this one's also like angled down. My body's angled. Like if we look at our upper bodies here, pretty equivalent angle. The difference is my whole body's matching this angle. I don't have rounding, so I'm throwing on a clean line. Where here, your legs are over here, your upper body's over here, so you're throwing downwards, not in that like clean stroke. You're throwing towards the jump instead of up and around the body. So this is a pretty cork back 7 I'm doing, and we can see the feet are up, very similar position to yours, but because I'm taller, the axis of rotation is going to naturally pull me more into the ground. We're going to come back and talk about the air mechanics so you can start visualizing and practicing it, because this is just going to be a complete deep dive of a form, so there's no rush. So as you're coming and snapping the spin, this is bringing us into your second problem, and that is your upper body is rotating off of your front foot and it's being cut short. This is an issue I've been seeing with a lot of my students, and luckily because of that, I've been really getting good at fixing it. So the good news is if we go and work on that takeoff, we get that to open up snap position shift, it's going to really help. You've watched my video where I explain how to train this through the summer, so I want you to be grinding that out consistently this summer. And then the next thing that is really holding you back here is just the fact that you're not going and having like your full body shifted to that back leg and having your whole body rotated over top of that back leg. On a backside 720, because we're rotating a full 720, we have a lot of axis rotation to go and rebalance and readjust, making it a very flexible trick that doesn't need to be thrown on any axis in particular. That's why it's super important to try and make it so our throw is slightly shifted to our back leg. This increases the range of motion in our hips because we get more ability to snap over to that back foot. It lets us go and keep our tail in contact with foot jump, getting that snap off, and it lets us elongate how long we're throwing and how much rotation we can get. You want to aim to have your upper body in a completely 90 position, facing your tail with your weight slightly shifted to that back foot so you snap off the tail. Here, because you're coming in and you're not building a strong platform to get on that toe edge, as you start to throw, you're going downwards. And as you throw down, it makes it so you concave on your right side. You'll feel it as sort of like caving in and feeling a little bit weak here and elongating through this left side. As you're caving in and throwing downwards, it's making it so your center of mass is being shifted more and more to that front foot, making it so now your rotation is set over the front foot of your snowboard. See how your upper body is all set over the front foot here? We need the rotation to be set over the back foot or centered, but it can be centered going all the way towards that back foot. That's what controls the axis of rotation it's on. We just need to make sure that it's never on the front foot. And how we do that is just that off snow training I was showing you, continuing it through, throwing over, and practicing that out. Now let's get into the little air about it. So for your airs, your issue is because you're throwing down, you're going and not able to channel your momentum through, and that's making it so you need to look over your shoulder and utilize counter rotation, causing a lot of disconnect through your whole core. You're doing a good job saving it, but it's not what we want to be doing. Let's go and pay close attention to mine here, and let's see what I'm doing differently. So first, because I'm snapping 90, I'm taking my momentum and snapping it all the way through. See how my upper body's pulling all the way through the rotation? The reason why I can do this is because my momentum's being sent flat enough that I can go and follow through, and it's going to continue. Here, you couldn't fix this just by falling through, because that'd make it so you threw more down towards the snow, and that'd make you do like a front flip, like Misty kind of rotation. So this can only be done once we're taller and once we're throwing more over our tail. Then this follow through, I go and start tightening my core, tightening everything and bringing it together as I keep my back arm leading the rotation and pulling. This makes it so at 270, you're now completely squared up. Shoulders are squared, core squared, head squared. And instead of thinking about looking around with your head here, instead what you're going to do is take your back arm and continue pulling it through the rotation. Pulling your back arm is going to make it so your chest is opening towards the tail of your snowboard. From here, all you do is keep your chin pointed. See how my head is completely squared and centered in my board? This is a crucial principle for spinning rotations on your snowboard. You never want to have your neck coming and dipping and elongating and pulling through unless you're trying to change your axis of rotation in the air. So sometimes I'll do it on like a dub back 10, back triple, but I'm never doing it on a backside 720 unless I'm trying to not land on my head, and it has to be done. And that's more subconscious, what you're already very good at. So let's just focus on that head centered, connected, and then pulling with that back arm pulls the chest. And because your head's centered and keeping everything connected with that pulled chest, it's naturally making it so your head's leading the rotation. Because of this, all I need to do now is keep pulling that back arm, keep everything connected, and then at this stage right here, I'm at 540 degrees, my arm's in this position, my chest is rotated, so I can use counter rotation to speed it up, slow it down. At this point in the trick, I've landed every single time because my axis rotation is bringing me to my feet, and my upper body is giving me the position to go and adjust my rotation. And you can see that right here. I'm not rotating quite enough, so what do? I let go of a grab, and I counter rotate to my feet. Counter rotation is a very important part of spinning, but it has a rule. Even though it accelerates your rotation speed, it comes at the cost of loss of maximum rotation velocity. So if you utilize counter rotation halfway through the spin, you're going to accelerate that spin for a bit, but now your overall spinning momentum is slower. And the only way you can compensate from this is getting taller, getting more tucked in, and getting more compromised. So, final recap. You need to go and practice these setup carves on backside 360s, backside 540s, so that you can be standing up taller of your snowboard. Then you need to go and practice that summer training of going and increasing your range of motion in your hips and snapping over your tail with your whole body 90 towards it. From there, I want you to start visualizing and practicing pulling that back arm around while keeping the head connected and then leading it the whole way. A backside 720 is sort of like two motions: the throw, the snap, the connect, and then the pull with the back arm. So I want you to start visualizing that and practicing those motions on and off snow. And once you can do that cleanly, you can start seeing it, visualizing it, and then you're getting super comfortable in that snap. Then get your takeoffs really dialed, and once the takeoffs are really dialed and you have that off-season training in place, you're going to be able to land some really fantastic backside 720s. You've done the hardest part of hucking it and getting over that fear. So now let's go and build up the base, give you the fundamentals, so the next time you go and throw this trick, it's a land. What happened to me when I moved to Whistler is I was doing 9s, I was trying to dub back 10s, and my coach went and made me go all the way back to 360s. I did nothing but 360s, trying to get closer to the technique he wanted for 2, maybe even 3 months. And it was very frustrating, but then when I went to go do my first 7 after that, I landed the best 7s of my life. I think you'll have a very similar situation. Focus on these in runs, focus on the windup, focus on the snap, and the training with the 360s primarily. And then once you go to try a 7 after putting all that in place, it's going to come around like never before. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know and I'll be happy to help. But that's everything I basically have to say on the matter. Have a good one and keep shredding.